Fiscal deficit control as a tough task for Finance Ministry. OJK reminds the importance of investment knowledge for investors. Good afternoon, viewers in Indonesia and Singapore. Market Headlines is ready to provide you a number of information from the business, economic, and capital market sectors. With me, Wicky Adrian. This is Market Headlines. The government's efforts to control the fiscal deficit in the next 3 years will be a tough task. Even the finance minister revealed that a number of international agencies suggested a fiscal deficit recovery process more than 3 years.
A number of challenges are estimated to still hinder the government's efforts to control the fiscal deficit to normal conditions in the next 3 years. Finance Minister Sri Mulyani Indrawati explained that the current pandemic situation is not easy for fiscal policy. International financial institutions have even suggested opening up opportunities to extend the fiscal widening by more than 3 years. This concern is due to the widening deficit that is lifted too quickly. It can make the economy even return to the contraction zone. Gradually, the government will still reduce the deficit to 3% of GDP in 2023.
Undang-Undang Nomor 2 Tahun 2020 hanya memberikan 3 tahun bagi kami, bagi pemerintah untuk boleh defisitnya di atas 3%. Bapak, kemarin saya baru ketemu sama Moody's, rating agency. Selama 6 bulan terakhir banyak dari pendapat internasional maupun dalam negeri yang mengatakan 3 tahun itu terlalu pendek. Kalau pemerintah nginjek remnya terlalu cepat, ekonominya belum pulih, mungkin jatuh lagi. Ini kan masalah design policy.
However, according to the provisions of Law Number 2 of 2020 concerning the country's stability policy and the financial system, the fiscal deficit must be returned to below 3% in 2023. This is a step to anticipate fiscal turmoil and economic decline due to debt burdens that are out of control. From Jakarta, Raharjo Patmo for IDX Channel.
Government tries to recover the fiscal deficit by improving tax performance, whereas it has strong link to tax control. Therefore, to improve tax control, Ministry requires all tax audit report in digital version.
The government is striving for better tax audit governance, whereas the Ministry of Finance is about to improve quality of auditors and law enforcement by reforming tax law enforcement. Sri Mulyani said that in the reform and tax law enforcement process must be carried out using advanced information technology. And therefore, Ministry is directing the digitalizations of all tax audit report. This is done to increase the transparency of tax officials or tax authorities in tax law enforcement. Tax reform is necessary to recover fiscal deficit. Sri Mulyani has even been advised by various parties, such as international financial institutions, to open up opportunities to extend the fiscal expansions by more than 3 years. This concern is due to the widening deficit, which is too quick, so it can make the economy even return to the contraction zone. Gradually, the government will still reduce the number deficit of 3% of GDP in 2023. Law enforcement reform is expected to increase the provisions of the work methods and code of ethics of the tax authorities when dealing with the taxpayers. Electronic audit business processes are not only monitored by this system, but also strengthen internal supervisions of tax authorities. Jakarta, Raharjo Patmo for IDX Channel.
As a response to government's deed on giving more stimulus to business sectors, Association of Indonesian Indigenous Businessmen stated that stimulus will be or should be given as working capital, especially for small businesses.
The government's plan to increase the amount of National Economic Recovery Budget is warmly welcomed by the Associations of Indonesian Indigenous Businessmen, or HIPBI. The head of associations in Jakarta area, Sarman Simanjorang, said that the business actors must be able to taking advantage of the stimulus to survive and develop their business. Besides that, Sarman also asked the government to expand stimulus recipients, especially for small businesses, whose numbers are very large. According to him, working capital must be provided during the pandemic and after the COVID-19 pandemic, so that the business actors can recover as soon as possible.
Dapat dimanfaatkan semaksimal mungkin supaya para dunia usaha kita, terutama UMKM ini bisa mampu bertahan atau bisa bangkit kembali. Karena kita tahu bahwa sesuai dengan data BPS, di Indonesia ini ada sekitar 62 juta UMKM kita, dan dari survei Asian Development Bank menyatakan bahwa hampir 48% atau sekitar 30 juta itu pada kondisi sudah tutup saat ini. Nah, artinya bahwa ini ada perhatian serius ya, apalagi di awal tahun ini.
Furthermore, Sarman stated that the current restrictions on the community activities even threatening small businesses out of business even more. For that, Sarman demands, besides focusing on economic stimulus, health recovery must be also accelerated so that the COVID-19 transmissions can be stopped immediately. From Jakarta, Rizka Ayu for IDX Channel.
Government supports target-driven adoption of electric vehicles by 2025. Government targets 757,000 electric motorbike users and 19,000 electric car users. After the government issued Presidential Regulation Number 55 of 2019 regarding the acceleration of the use of electricity-based vehicles, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources continues to boost the use of electric vehicles in Indonesia. Director General of Electricity at Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, Rida Mulyana, said that the use of electric vehicles for government operations is a way to protect the environment. Even in 2030, the government will reduce fuel consumption by 77,000 barrels per day, so that able to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 7.2 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent.
Telah menunjukkan komitmennya dalam mempercepat KBLBP, yaitu untuk penggunaan KBLBP sebanyak 757.139 unit kendaraan roda 2 dan 19.220 unit kendaraan roda 4 sampai dengan tahun 2025. Public launching ini bertujuan mensinergikan pelaksanaan Peraturan Presiden 55 tahun 2019.
Market Headlines will be right back after the break. Stay tuned.
Saya Prisa Somodatu membawakan program berita News Screen yang menghadirkan informasi seputar ekonomi maupun juga bisnis dari dalam negeri.
Ya, Wall Street memulai 2021 dengan aksi jual di mana salah satu indeks utamanya yakni Dow Jones melemah 1,25%. Ya, indeks harga saham gabungan naik signifikan pemirsa. Kita akan mencoba menganalisis beberapa sentimen isu.
Proyeksikan bahwa perdagangan kita masih ada potensi untuk menguat ya.
Akankah menjadi sentimen yang positif yang ikut mendorong juga?
Biasanya sangat kuat gitu mempengaruhi bursa saham kita ya.
Hello, I'm Clara Antawijaya. I'm associate producer and news presenter on Market Headlines. As Market Headlines starts at 4:30 p.m., which is in line with the closing market, therefore we summarize the market conditions only for you. And my job in here as a journalist, I give concise and accurate news for the audience. And also, being a journalist is not only a job for me, but it is also a passion.
Welcome back. Indonesia faces difficulties in soybean price. Indeed, scarcity and rising commodity prices do not only occur in Indonesia, but globally. But still, to tackle the issue, government has designed programs to avoid price volatility.
Ministry of Agriculture plans 3 programs to solve soybean prices problem. This program is carried out to stabilize prices and also increase soybean production. The main goal is to maintain price volatility in the market. There are SOS 100 days program, 200 days program, and permanent program. In the SOS program of 100 days, which is from January to March 2021, the Ministry of Agriculture plans to increase supply to tofu and tempeh producers, stabilize prices, increase the soybean agricultural productions, and these cooperations was also involving the Ministry of Trade as a stakeholder in the domestic trade. Next, 200 days program. Ministry prepares planting area of 325 hectares, providing funds, pest control, and preparing for planting in the dry season. To these short-medium-term plan is expected to be able to control the soybean problem in 2021.
Kementerian Pertanian membuat langkah melalui 3 agenda SOS selama 100 hari ke depan, diantaranya memperlancar pasokan dan pengrajin tahu tempe pasar, stabilisasi harga, meningkatkan produksi pertanian, menyiapkan CPCL, serta membentuk gugus tugas lintas kementerian dan lembaga. Kerjasama ini sepenuhnya bersama Kementerian Perdagangan juga.
Meanwhile, for the third program, the Ministry of Agriculture has launched a permanent program in the form of making soybeans part of the 12 strategic foods. Besides that, it will maximize local soybean supplies and carry out downstreaming of soybean products. By these short and long-term programs, hopefully it can meet the needs of soybean as a main raw material of tofu and tempeh, which are mandatory food for Indonesian people. From Jakarta, Muhammad Olga for IDX Channel.
Higher soybean prices have hurt margins of local producers. The things get so intense, whereas Indonesians are very consumptive over soybeans. Usually people can buy soybeans around 6,000 to 7,000 rupiah per kilogram, but now the price of soybeans increased by 30% to 8,000 to 9,000 rupiah per kilogram. If government doesn't tackle the problem seriously, soybean market will be forced into dramatic price rationing. But before we deep dive into the problem, there is one big question: why soybeans may be headed for its highest price these days? The answer is in the next graphic. This is the list of reasons why the price of soybean is getting high. The first one is soaring prices in global market, decreasing production capacity, and bad weather. While from Minister of Agriculture's perspective, scarcity and rising commodity price do not only occur in Indonesia. Minister Syahrul Yassin Limpo has opened his voice on the rare and high price of soybeans in the market. He explained that this may also be due to part of the global pandemic and the global price of soybeans being affected, especially from the United States. There's another factor as well, which is falling global supplies due to the La Nina weather phenomenon, especially from Brazil, the world's biggest supplier. The red line is, for many years in Indonesia, soybeans have been mostly imported. Statistics Indonesia recorded that Indonesia imported around 2.11 million tons of soybean from January to October last year alone, of which about 90% of 1.92 million tons was shipped out from the U.S. Then it comes into another question of why does Indonesia really depends on soybean? Soybean is the main raw material of tofu and tempeh, which are mandatory food for Indonesian people. And through the next graphic, we can see the majority of Indonesian soybean consumption. This is the Indonesian soybean consumption in the form of tofu, 40%, in form of tempeh, 50%, in other form or other product, as much as 10%. We compiled the data from the National Standardization Body of Indonesia. Only 10% gap between tempeh and tofu. Well, surely it is hard for Indonesians to pick which one is the best. Tofu and tempeh is commonly consumed food ingredient for Indonesians, and it was a part of their everyday meals. So can you imagine if there is no soybean to produce tofu and tempeh? Of course, this is a major problem for Indonesia. Through the previous graphic, we can see majority of Indonesians choose tempeh over tofu. Let's take a throwback. Tempeh was being sold in Java early 20th century. Tempeh originated in Indonesia, almost certainly in Central or East Java. But then it goes worldwide as people in the world turn out to be tempeh lovers. Let's see the timeline in the next graphic. Firstly, in 1926, tempeh was observed in Japan. In 1946, it was pretty much popular in Europe. And in 1958, it is also popular in the United States. In 1983, produced and commercialized in Japan. Meantime, in 1984, the rise of tempeh companies, 18 companies in Europe, 53 companies in the US, and 8 companies in Japan. And there is one major reason on why people love tempeh. It is the nutrition. Tempeh is a nutrient-dense soy product with a high amount of protein, as well as various vitamins and minerals. It may decrease cholesterol levels, oxidative stress, and appetite while improving bone health. Tempeh also contains prebiotics, which may improve digestive health and reduce inflammation. With all of the good nutritions and also cheap price, this is very fit for Indonesia's nutrition need. Therefore, Ministry of Agriculture is making efforts to fulfill the demand. To tackle the issue, government has designed programs to avoid price volatility. Let's see the next graphic for the detail. This is Agriculture Ministry programs to solve soybean prices problem, a 100 days program. They have to facilitate supply to market, stabilize price, increase agricultural production, prepare CPCL, form a cross-ministerial institutional task force, meantime in a list of 200 days program, set planting area of 325,000 hectares, provide funding, control pests, prepare for dry season planting and permanent program, set soybeans to be part of 12 strategic foods, maximizing local soybean supply and downstreaming soybean products. And the red line is Ministry of Agriculture plans these 3 programs to solve soybean prices problem. This program is carried out to stabilize prices and also increase soybean production. The main goal is to maintain price volatility in the market. According to the government, the average domestic demand for soybeans ranges from 2 to 3 million tons of soybeans per year. By these short to long-term programs, hopefully it can meet the needs of soybeans as the main raw material of tofu and tempeh, which are mandatory food for Indonesian people, including me. With the fast steps of the Ministry of Agriculture, we hope that soybean price problem can be solved immediately so that Indonesians don't have to worry to get their basic superfoods, tempe and tofu. Stay tuned on Market Headlines because we'll be right back after the break.
IDX Channel, the Indonesia Stock Exchange channel, is the authorized capital market channel in Indonesia. To give references to global investors, IDX Channel also presented the news about the dynamic of Indonesia's economy, business, and capital market in English. IDX Channel also have different types of programs. They are Special Dialogue, Market Opening, Market Review, IDX First Session Closing, IDX Second Session Closing, Market Headlines, and News Screen. IDX Channel is aired 24 hours a day with 5 hours live program from Indonesia Stock Exchange trading floor. Our vision and mission as the only capital market TV channel in Indonesia that is committed to improve the capital market knowledge in the country. News that had been delivered on IDX Channel can also be seen on our digital platforms, so you can give yourself an update about informations anywhere and everywhere. IDX Channel can be watched through Vision Channel, First Media Channel, IndiHome Channel, and Vision Plus, and also live streaming on idxchannel.com. IDX Channel provides information from around the world from different perspectives. We provide you various investment strategies, stock options, inspiring figures for your business references. IDX Channel, your trustworthy economic, business, and capital market channel.
We're in the last segment. At the Jakarta Composite Index in trading movement earlier today, JCI was open at the level of 6,010.34. Then approaching the closing time of the session, the index was on the level of 5,883.63. Then the index was showing weakening trend by the second session closing time. Index was closed at the level of 5,862.35. In short, JCI went down 1.96%. And next, we're going to see the sectoral movement leading the dynamics of today's trading. We got agriculture as the leader of the strengthening trend, went up 0.71%, and mining went up 0.31%. Next, we got finance as the leader of the weakening trend, went down 3.15%, and consumer goods went down 2.31%. Moving on to top gainers and top losers, here are the key highlights from today's trading session. MDKA went up 11.35% to the level of 2,550 rupiah per share. Inco went up 1.85% to the level of 5,500 rupiah per share. Film went up 13.04% to the level of 364 rupiah per share. TKIM went up 4.14% to the level of 13,200 rupiah per share. And this is the top losers for today's trading. We got BRI went down 6.49% to the level of 4,180 rupiah per share. BMRI went down 6.74% to the level of 6,575 rupiah per share. And Antam went down 6.72% to the level of 2,220 rupiah per share. BRIS went down 6.87% to the level of 2,440 rupiah per share. And we're going to see the intraday movement of rupiah towards US dollar. Open at the level of 14,084 rupiah, was also showing strengthening trend towards US dollar. It was closed at the level of 14,060. In summary, rupiah went down 0.2%. The Financial Services Authority, or OJK, emphasizes the importance of knowledge about investment amid the current increasing investment trends in the capital market. One thing that is emphasized by the OJK is investors need to pay attention to the source of funds used for investing, not to use loan or debt funds.
The Financial Services Authority, or OJK, emphasizes the importance of knowledge about investment amid the current increasing investment trends in the capital market. As of December 30, 2020, the number of investors in the capital market increased 56.45% to 3.88 million investors. Interestingly, this increase is dominated by the number of domestic millennial investors. Chief Executive of OJK Capital Market Supervision, Hussein, say that the increase in the number of capital market investors was quite encouraging, especially since this happened amidst the pressure caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. One thing that the OJK emphasizes is investors need to pay attention to the source of funds used for investing. Don't use loan proceeds, either online or credit. It is better if investment funds are drawn from the deposits of investors. As is well known, recently there has been a buzz on social media about investors who got caught up in the stock game and ended up suffering losses. From all sources, for IDX Channel.
The textile issuer Sri Rejeki Isman revealed the reasons for delaying the plan to issue global bonds. The company admitted that the main reason for the postponement of the global bond issuance plan was the unsupportive market condition.
The textile issuer Sri Rejeki Isman revealed the reasons for delaying the plan to issue global bonds with a maximum value of $325 million. In his letter to the Financial Services Authority, Director of Finance Sri Rejeki Isman Alan Moran Severno said that the company decided to postpone the plan to issue new debt securities denominated in US dollars. According to Alan, the main reason for the company to delay the plan to issue global bonds is the unsupportive market condition. Previously, Sri Rejeki Isman's corporate communications Joy Chitradewi said that the company was postponing the bond issuance plan in the near future. For information, the issuer shared plan to issue global bonds of up to $325 million with coupons and tenors that have not been explained in detail by the company. Meantime, the global bonds will be issued and listed on the Singapore Stock Exchange. Later, the bonds will be guaranteed by the company's subsidiary, namely by Sinar Pancajaya, Bitratex Industry, and Prima Yuda Mandiri Jaya. From all sources, for IDX Channel.
A step aside from market condition as coronavirus pandemic takes big role on current economic situation. Here it is an update data about coronavirus globally. And the news close our market headlines today. Please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, your trustworthy economic, business, and capital market channel. I'm Wicky Adrian. Have a nice evening and stay safe.